Friends, Romans, and countrymen, lend me your ears. That's not a good way to start. Hi everybody, now I'm Emily Dahl and we're going to be talking about makeup today. Welcome back to my channel. That's also not a good. What's up everybody, it's your girl Emily Dahl and welcome back to yet another beauty can do video. I don't know if this is going to help you or make anything easier for you, but this video is going to be my attempt at trying to help you through some beauty struggles when it comes to beating that face like a pro. Alright, so today I am going to be talking to you guys about eyebrows, how to do eyebrows, well, how I do my eyebrows. Not necessarily the right way to do eyebrows, but a way to do eyebrows and the only way that I know how. Yeah. So as you can see, I basically have nothing on my face. My hair is a ratty mess because I thought to myself, do I want to spend a bunch of time doing my hair since this video has nothing to do with hair and it's just a learning video that's going to teach you a few things? No, I don't. So I decided to just turn the camera on and get started. I decided that I was going to start doing some videos that kind of assist anybody new to the makeup game. I wouldn't say that I am a professional or the best person to watch. I definitely wouldn't say I have everything figured out or I know what I'm doing, but I do know how to do my own face and I know some tips and tricks, and you know, I feel like sharing is caring, so why not do some videos where I share basic beauty knowledge in regards to beating that face. And please don't be offended by that. It's a term used in the beauty industry. Yeah, it is. It's a fun term. You just, I'm teaching you things so you can sound like a pro when you're talking to other people. I don't know what's going on here. So I'm gonna do basic videos on basic application. I'm gonna do individual videos on each thing. I decided that eyebrows was a good way to start because when I do my makeup every day, the first thing that I start with is my eyebrows. I used to start with foundation and concealer, but then the more that I started learning about doing my eyebrows and what was easier, what kind of flowed better, doing my eyebrows first was definitely helpful. So I have absolutely nothing on my face because this is how we start. As you can see, there's nothing on my face because if there was, I would have just messed up a lot of work. Yeah. So today I'm going to try to make this as easy as possible, just kind of share my techniques, what I do, different products you can use, in hopes that I can give you some information that may help you with your eyebrow game and making sure that they stay as fleeked as possible. That's also a trendy term for the brows, yeah, so you can use that too. I hope you have your pen and paper because you're going to need to be taking notes. Yes. So my eyebrows have been through thick and thin, literally. I started plucking my eyebrows, well, my big sister started plucking my eyebrows for me when I was like 14 or 15, yeah. And back then, nobody really thought much about it, and the fact that you can completely destroy the follicle to where your eyebrows just don't grow back. It's not like the hair on your head. You don't know if they will grow back in, how they will grow back in, or if you've literally just screwed yourself for all eternity. And I personally am the last one, yeah. So I've tried to grow my eyebrows in, but they always just grow in like really thick right here, and then nothing other than like really sparse things that don't even count, so why leave them, you know what I mean? And at one point when I tried to like let them grow in fuller and then fill them in, a girl on one of my very first tutorials ever told me that my eyebrows look like sperm. I mean, she's right. They did. I can't be mad at that. And now, I think I was offended back then, but now I just think it's hilarious because she was right. When I look back at old pictures of myself, they were really thick and then got really thin, and there really was no transition. So, you know, it's taken me many, many moons to figure out a good way to do my brows. And, you know, in my opinion, there's really no right or wrong way. Everybody does their eyebrows differently. I shared something, I'm going to show it to you guys. I shared something on Facebook that made me laugh because we all go through that eyebrow struggle, and I wasn't trying to hate or, you know, talk shit or anything, because I would literally be talking shit about myself. But anybody who has, you know, tried to do their eyebrows or put makeup on their eyebrows, which I didn't even know you could do for a really long time. I literally didn't know you could put makeup on your eyebrows until I worked at Ulta. And then I found Anastasia Beverly Hills, which is like the #1 brand in brow makeup. I share a lot of cars, so it's gonna take me a minute. And like, look at this old picture. I had like no eyebrows at all. So when I say thick and thin, I mean thick and thin. But I didn't know you could put makeup on your eyebrows, and once I finally discovered it, took me a really long time to figure out what I liked. I've done extremely dramatic eyebrows. I've done way too big eyebrows, and by I've done way too big, I mean I've drawn them on way too big. So we shared this photo, and it says, PSA, don't forget, just looking out for my girls. Don't do this, do this. And as you can see, like, it's super boxy. It almost looks like tint, like, you know, when you dye your eyebrows. That's kind of what it looks like. And you're supposed to do this where it's less in this area and more defined in this area. But that can be really difficult. That's not an easy thing to achieve if you've ever tried to put makeup on your eyebrows. So in all instances, doing your eyebrows is tricky. It can take a lot of time. But one thing that you need to keep in mind is that everybody's eyebrows are different, just like our bodies, just like our brains, just like our pizza preferences. Some people like pineapple on pizza. I think it's a monstrosity. So with that in mind, you need to understand that your eyebrows are going to fluctuate as you get better with makeup. They're going to start out one way, and then the more you get comfortable with doing your own eyebrows, depending on what like beauty influencers you follow, you kind of pick up their type of style. So you just kind of have to find what you feel looks good on your face, and you need to rock it. And some people may not like that. I've had people talk shit about my eyebrows. I don't really care. I like my eyebrows the way I like them. So I'm going to show you guys how I do mine, and some tools that you want to add to your beauty arsenal. So let's get started. Now, there are a lot of different products for your eyebrows. There are pencils, both automatic, which are the ones that twist up, or the ones that you can sharpen. I kind of use a mix of different products depending on what I want my eyebrows to look like. I would say, depending on if I want them more dramatic or more natural, but let's be real, this is as natural as my eyebrow gets. Anytime I start putting makeup on it, it goes to the same eyebrow I have every day of the week, and that can be pretty defined, pretty dramatic in my opinion. But I do like to use pencils because I think that when it comes to getting the shape that I want, if I use a pencil first, it kind of gives me the direction that I want. I prefer pencils that are super skinny. So Anastasia Beverly Hills put out there, I think it's called Brow Wiz, and it's a super, super skinny, like this. I'm not good at this. So it's a super skinny eye pencil. It's an automatic. On the end, there is a spoolie, which is, in my opinion, again, an important thing to have when you're doing your brows, because you need to be able to brush them into what you want. Let's articulate this camera a little bit where my mirror is, so yeah. So I like to brush mine, give it the shape, get it tame, I guess you could say. And then I like to use my super skinny to mostly start giving myself definition. I am really sparse down here, so that's where I like to start drawing, because it needs to be filled in to have more of a cleaner. And if I were to stay in where my natural brow is, it wouldn't have a clean line. So I do have to kind of bring it down and draw that line in to give myself the perfect shape that I want. These work really, really well in doing that. This one's by e.l.f. It was like $3, and I think the Anastasia ones are like $1 million. or something like that. But you can find things that are lower price. Just because they're not trending doesn't mean that they don't work. So do not break the bank for a product that you see all the influencers using. There's a good chance it's not necessary. Try other things. $3, $1 million, it's what works. That matters. And I usually try to focus on making sure I'm using products that are not tested on little bunny rabbits. Okay, so pencils can kind of be easy to use. They can be a little harsh to use. I've never had a problem with pencil, but if you have a heavy hand, you can tend to have really hard lines. So keep that in mind. But I like having them in my arsenal. I definitely recommend having them in your arsenal. They can be very helpful. I prefer the skinny ones, but we don't discriminate here when it comes to brow pencils. So we have the skinny and we got the full figure. So this is by Koki Professionals. They sell it online, but they also sell it at one of our Walmarts here close by. They don't sell it at all of them. Now the cool thing about this is that it does have a spoolie on the end, but it is way bigger than the one on the super skinny. And the cool thing about this pencil is that it is angled. So it's not going to be a straight pencil, it's an angled pencil. I feel like sometimes I can make products work and then sometimes I can't make them work. And sometimes I can make them work sometimes and they're like my favorite products in the whole world, and then all of a sudden they just stop working. This was one of those for me. Sometimes it's the most amazing thing in the world. I had one by a different brand, Soap and Glory. It's kind of a retro themed pinup brand that you can get at Walgreens or at Target. Theirs I liked more than this one. I feel like it went down smoother, but these can be helpful because of the angle. So it kind of allows you to put that in more easily. It's one that you can definitely try out. I like to keep both an angled and a super skinny one. I feel like these ones kind of lay down color and give it a softer, more natural feel if you're going to use pencil entirely. I don't use just pencil or just one product. I like to mix my products to get my desired brow, you know. But these are two that I enjoy, so check that out. Another pencil that you need to have is a wax pencil. It can be any brand for the most part. You just want to make sure that the wax is a more firm, stiff, sticky wax opposed to like a greasy wax, because if it's thinner and greasy, it can break down whatever brow product you use, whether it be a powder or a pencil, and you know, make your eyebrows come off easier if you touch them. Or if it's hot outside, they'll run down your face. So that's really the only thing I would say watch out for with wax pencils. Another thing, and I don't have one. I have some stuff in here. I don't think I have one anymore. You can do a gel, a brow gel, to brush them in place as well if you want to do a more natural look with less product. A brow gel, it's clear. Some of them come in colors. Some of them come with fibers, like brow building fibers. And they come in like tints, they come in darker ones, they come with those little fibers, or you can just get a clear gel. All of those are going to give you kind of a more natural look. You just brush it into your brow, but because my brows are so like kind of sparse and patchy, it's hard for me to use things like that because it doesn't really do anything but make a mess all over my skin. So I personally struggle with the brow tints, the brow mascaras. I do have a clear brow gel to use that's helpful to tame or to go over my brow if I have any crazy ones. I don't use it that often, but it's something to consider to have, especially if you have a fuller brow already. You don't have to apply as much product. You can if you want to, but when you have a fuller brow that's already kind of thick and dark and luscious, which I clearly don't have, you don't really need a lot of stuff. You can just use the lesser things and get a pretty good effect without having to apply that much stuff. So our next product, gosh, my hair. Our next product that we're going to be talking about is pomades and kind of colored waxes. So I have two different ones. I have NYX Tame and Frame. It is a pomade. This one is tinted. It comes very much in the same type of applicator and container that some of the more high-end ones come in. You can find a lot of mass-produced like cosmetics at Walmart, Target, places like that that mimic the really high-end ones that everybody love and use, but they're more affordable prices. Use what you like, spend on however much you want. It's your money. Do what you want with it. So this is an Elf in the shade medium, and it's one of their little brow kits. And as you can see, I don't use the powder because it's way too light for me. I think I bought this back when I had blonde hair. But what I do like is I like the pomade that is next to it. But this one is definitely more greasy. It's a lot more, let's see that? So this one's a little bit easier for me to apply, whereas this one, as you can see, is drier. So when I put my brush in it, it's a little bit harder to pick up unless you want to drop, like, you can drop like an oil in it, like a face oil or a priming oil, and it'll make it a little bit more easy to use. It'll glide on a little bit better. I don't like doing that because I feel like as soon as I add anything like that, it just makes my brow greasy, and then it looks greasy on my face, as well as it's more liable to be rubbed off if you touch it. So with both of these, I use two different brushes. For the more stiff pomades that are a little more dry, I use definitely a sharper angled brow brush, because that allows me to put down a really thin, sharp, defined line, where with the kind of more silky pomade, I prefer this one, which is a little bit thicker. It kind of brushes it on. They're not a huge difference. One is just a teeny bit more thick than the other one. It's kind of hard to tell. And I feel like the thicker one puts the product in kind of softer, so it gives it a more softly defined look, rather than the sharper pencil puts it down a little bit more dramatic. It's something you just have to play with. This is stuff that I figured out by trying different products, by trying different brushes. I was able to see the different effects that each give you, and then that's how you kind of go off of what you prefer on your face. There's also another product that I don't have, and there are, like, NYX, for instance, has what looks like a tube of like lip gloss. It's got just a regular little tube, and it's got a really fine point, and it's also a form of pomade. It almost looks more like a Neosporin tube with colors in it, and that is also a different type of brow pomade. It's a lot thinner, it's more of a paint, but those tend to dry down, kind of waterproof, and they usually are the most transfer proof of the products. All the products that I've shown you, if you touch your face, it's gonna come off. So if you're looking for something way more, I don't know, transfer proof, you need to make sure that you're reading your packaging so you can see if it says that it's transfer proof, because if it doesn't, if you do touch it, it's gonna matter. This one, once it dries down, like I said, it's more dry and stiff anyways, so it's kind of a little bit more aggressive in staying put, whereas this one does not. If you rub it, it's gonna come off. That's what she said. So another product that they have out for eyebrows that you need to check out are these eyebrow tints. So this one's by Revolution, Makeup Revolution London, in Taupe. And what these are kind of a really weird tinting gel or like paint that you put on your entire brow area, and it stains the hair and the skin underneath, and then you let it sit and you peel it off, and it's going to give your brow a more defined, fuller look because it's tinting it. So you got to be careful with these because you want to make sure that anything that gets on your skin, like, you can't just slap it on. You have to get it on in the shape that you want, because anywhere where you leave it on your skin, if you let it sit for any amount of time, it's going to stain your skin, so you'll have a wonky eyebrow. So you got to be really careful with application. I like to use those really sharp, pointy Q-tips to kind of help clean up any areas. And then I just leave it on, and then you peel the dried up goo off, and you kind of have a more defined, fuller eyebrow. There's a lot of different brands that are doing this. Like I said, mine is by Revolution, and I actually like it. It's not bad. I just wish that it lasted through like face washing, because as soon as you use like a makeup wipe or wash your face, it takes it off. So maybe you can find one that stains a little bit heavier. I don't know, but it's definitely something to check out. I think it's fun, and it's kind of just a different solution to having a more fuller, natural brow. So our next product that we're going to be talking about is brow powders. Brow powders are probably the lightest that can go on. They have the widest range from going to kind of subtle and light to full and dramatic, depending on how much you put on. I prefer having some type of palette. I got this from Pro Fusion, I believe. No, yeah, I think this is a Pro Fusion, isn't it? Maybe not. Freedom, Be Free to Makeup, Professional London. I think this might be a Pro Fusion sister company. I think that's what this is. You can get it now at Target if it is, but I bought this one on Hush, the beauty app. And inside you have lots of different shades that you can use. You have a highlighting powder, which sucks in this, I don't like it. And then you have a concealer, which we're also going to talk about why that's important, and how I didn't know that was a thing. But then when I found it, I was like, oh my god, my brows look so much better. So the only thing that I would say stay away from are the stencils. Brow stencils, in my opinion, are kind of a joke, because brows are so different. I don't know how you use them. I've never found a brow stencil that matches my brow. Not once. Like, if you shave them off, that's great. You just put it on your skin, you color it in, wham bam, thank you ma'am. But if you already have a brow, how do you make that work? I don't know. So if you know, leave it in the comments below. But so right now, my go-to for this palette, I like to use the sharper angled brush that I use for my stiffer pomades. And I just dip it in the color, and I apply over my pencil that I usually put down first, and then I also use my pomade. So I have a 3-step system before I do my concealer, so I'll show you that, of course, when we get to the application process. Now, something I never really considered for a really long time, until I would say last year, was cleaning up my brow with concealer after I had finished it. So I started, of course, as the beauty industry and the beauty guru industry grows with Instagram, and you have all these people doing makeup and making videos. There's a lot of things I never thought about that I've learned from watching different people online. And the concealer thing really got me. I didn't understand it for a while, and then I tried it, and it was a huge difference. The downside is that it's added another step to my makeup routine that I can't go without now, so it takes a little bit more time, but it really does make a difference in your overall finished brow. It gives you a really clean and defined look, and it's made a huge difference in my brow game. It also helps kind of clean up the shape. I'll get my initial shape down, and then I'll go in with my concealer, and it kind of evens everything up and just makes it really clean and sharp. I use this brush by Afterglow. It's actually a concealing brush, but it's the one that I have found works the best in doing my concealing after I do my brows. I really like this brush, and you just go in with your concealer, and you clean up your lines. It's really that simple. A lot of people use like liquid concealers. Sometimes they do it super dramatic and like really conceal around their eyebrows. I don't do anything too dramatic, but for me, I don't need to. What I like to do doesn't need that. So that is something to keep in mind. I usually just use the concealer that's in this. Works really well. So, but that's the products that you can try. Like I said, lots of different products. They all have a different result They can range from very dramatic, very bold, to more natural, more simple, more soft. It's really just experimenting with the different products, experimenting with the different brushes, see what works for you, see what you like to use, see what gives you the effect and the look that you want the outcome to be. And really the best way to do that, of course, is to just start trying things. I have a little bit of everything, and like I said, I adjust depending on the look that I want. So we are going to now get into application. Yeah. So I have a lot of these little rags. These are actually the ones that you use to take your makeup off, but I have a really good one that I use for that, and these are kind of just the little cheap ones that you find. It's called Always Off makeup cloths. You can find them usually in like the makeup aisle at Walmart, like hanging from those little things that always grab your arm when you walk by. I think it's like, buy me, you know, grabs you. But what I use these for is when I'm doing my makeup, if I need to wipe something off, I clean my brushes off on it. They're really handy, and they cut back on waste by using like disposable makeup cloths and napkins and tissues and all of that jazz while you're doing your makeup. So I always keep one of these handy. So we're just going to kind of start using different products to see the results that we get. I'm going to use my super skinny pencil first. We're going to get in close and start applying. Now the hard part, of course, is right here. Usually you get really boxy if you get in too heavy. So what I've been practicing is to try and really keep a light hand over here and only use my powders there, because I have a little bit more control over applying my powder with my brush. So for this, as you can see, it's pretty patchy here, and then there's nothing here. We want to give it a more clean, defined look. So that's where we're going to start, like this. You see that? That already filled it in. Oh, hell of a lot. And then we're just going to follow through and such. Now, I don't recommend tweezing if you've never tweezed. And if you're going to tweeze the sparse ones down here, but I would recommend just going to a professional first so you don't mess up and have to use months of growing your brows back in. So here is just a little definition. See that? That's already a big difference. Now we're going to go up to the top and we're going to fill this in because it also is lacking. Now if you notice in your eyebrows, you have a natural arch, and there's this trick where like you put your pencil and that's where your brow stops, and then there's your point, your highest arch, and then you stop. You want to be careful to not bring them out too far or bring them in too close, because then you're going to either have really long eyebrows or a unibrow. But if that's the look you're going for, now you know how to do it. So we're just going to kind of give ourselves, I like to try and fill in what's natural already, kind of go off of my natural shape. For the most part, that's not always possible. So see that? We got some shape. So that's what I like to do first, give myself my first kind of step one. Fill it in a tiny bit, but you got to be careful. You don't want to be heavy-handed. There we go. Okay, there's our step one. And as you can see, it's already a really big difference, okay? So the next thing that I usually do is I grab my little bit fuller angled brush, and I like to dip in to this pomade. It's a little bit thinner. Like I said, it's a little bit greasier, but this kind of gives my hairs a little bit more drama, and then it also gives something for the powder to stick in, which gives it a little bit longer of wear kind of helps create, it's kind of like when you get a lotion, a body spray, and a perfume. You're putting the lotion on, or a body wash, lotion, body spray, perfume. Those layers prolong your smell, and that's kind of what this does. So I'm just kind of going in very lightly over, and it's going to give me a little bit of definition, but it's also going to give something for my final step, which is my brow powder, something to stick to. And I'm just pretty much following what I have and just giving it a little bit cleaner of a look. But this helps hold my hairs in place and gives me some stability for my next step. Now I like to use this really lightly to bring it out like that. And as you can see, it's given me a little bit more defined inner point. So I could stop right there if I want to, but I like doing my powder next because it gives it a little bit more definition and again, staying power. So I'm going to show you on this one what this looks like by itself. It's not bad, it's just kind of greasy, so I feel like it doesn't stay that great. And if it's hot outside, it's not the best thing. But it also is kind of splotchy, so like you don't get an even application. But it also comes with a brow powder for a reason, because this was meant to be layered with. So, but it's kind of more neutral. So if I just wanted to do a simple brow that kind of had a little bit of definition, a little bit of kind of staying power, I could use that by itself. So next we're going to apply our powder. Alright, so next up we're going to be doing our brow powder. I'm going to be using my more angled sharp brush. This is a Luxie small angle 215 brush. The first one that I was using was just an e.l.f. small angled brush. I got this one in an Ipsy bag way back when I was getting Ipsy. So depending on how dark you want your eyebrows, sometimes I use pink eyeshadow. It's a lot of fun, but due to the fact that I got some root growth, I can get away with doing darker brows, I feel. This seems to be my favorite. So I just kind of dip in there, knock off the excess, and then I go in right here is usually where I like to start with that. And what this is going to do is it just kind of gives it a really clean, dark, really defined look. As you can see, it's filling in all of those little blank areas that I have that I didn't go too heavy with. You can go heavy with your pencil and kind of fill your brow in more. I just don't prefer it. So I'm just kind of going in and I'm giving myself that clean line and I'm filling everything in evenly, just like that. And my biggest problem area is right here because there's no hairs. So for the areas that I don't have any hairs, I like to go in a little bit heavier with my pencil so it has that defined look, because there's nothing for the pomade or the powder to stick to, and you don't want it to have that obvious light section. So when I do the pencil first and then go over it with the powder, it kind of makes it, whoa, if you could come back into focus, camera. Baby Jesus is having a rough day. Let's calm down. So that's basically what I do personally. Now, the part that you really need to focus on is right on your inner point, okay? And the reason that is that you need to practice on having a light hand. If you have a heavy hand and you use way too much product, it can give you that really blocked look. I'm not saying the blocked look is bad. Is it something people talk shit about on the internet? Yes, but you know what other things people talk shit about on the internet? Everything. So if we went based off that, there'd be no point to anything. So if that's how you like your brow to look, do you, boo. But if you're looking for that more natural kind of ombre where it gets lighter, you need to focus more on putting your color down here and leaving less up here. So what I like to do is I kind of like to put everything in the areas that I want darker, and then I take whatever's left over and I turn my brush vertical and I kind of just do this, and it kind of helps give it some definition, and you know, but it's not too heavy, because you could easily make it heavy, you know what I mean? Like, what, you put too much in, you're gonna have too much color, too heavy, and that's what's gonna give you that look. Now again, I'm not talking shit about you, we're speaking facts here. That's how you get that look. So if I wanted to just go in and give myself a heavy, just extremely bold eyebrow, I could very easily. You just take a lot of product and you pack it in there, just like so. Look at that, see that? Super heavy blocked eyebrow. So there is a difference, more natural. Not that this is a natural brow, but you can see the difference, okay? It takes practice, it takes time. I rocked eyebrows like that for a very long time before I got to the point where, you know, I picked up the technique that I needed. So at this point, this is where I would stop with my brow, and I would go in with my concealer. So what we're gonna do is we are going to take our concealer brush. I'm gonna go into this concealer, get a little bit, and then we're just gonna clean up our line like this. And it does make a difference, especially if you do more dramatic. Like if the times that I do really thick, bold brows, which I have totally Eddie Munstered myself. I've looked back at some pictures and I'm like, whoa, there's no way that grew in overnight. That's clearly all product, but sometimes they look cool. I mean, it really takes your look to a different level. So if you want to do a really bold, thick brow, do it, you know what I mean? But you just kind of go along like this. And this is going to give your eyebrow just a super clean look. If you say, like, per se, you make it a little bit too thick, this can also help you thin it out without having to start completely over, because you just go in with the concealer. Like, I'm going to show you. So, see that? I'm just pulling it up and taking out some of it, and I'm just making it thinner. See that? So that can kind of help with if you overdo it. Sometimes overdoing it first and then going in with your concealer to define your shape more is more helpful. I've done that before. On the days that I just clearly am having a bad brow day and my brows don't want to go in, I'll do too much on purpose, and then I go in with this eraser, basically is what it is. But it really helps give you a more defined eyebrow. I like doing the bottom first, getting most of it out, and then that's when I go in to my top like this and do the conceal on the top. But again, you want to be careful, you don't want to do anything too much, and then you have your brow. Just like that, people. Check that out. Hey! Works great. If you take out too much and you erase too much, you just go back in and you put it back. Like so. But that's our eyebrow. So try to go, if you're looking for a more natural, defined brow. Clearly this is not natural. It's very dark, it's very bold. But just like I said, you gotta be a little lighter handed here. You want most of your color to be at the bottom, while leaving that a little bit more sparse. You know what I'm saying? Then you don't have this dark, heavy, blocked brow. See that? It's the difference. Anyway. I'm a little broke out, so don't mind that. But that's real life, people. So, hey. So I hope that was some helpful information in regards to makeup for your eyebrows and how I myself went from this to more of this style. I've rocked a lot of different eyebrow styles. I'll try to find some photographs to attach at the end of this video so you guys can see. But I really have gone through a lot of different brow looks. I've had people talk a lot of smack about my eyebrows. And it really comes down to what you're comfortable with, what look you want to have, what you're most confident in, what you feel defines you the most. That's what's important. That's what you need to focus on. It takes a lot of practice, it takes a lot of time to learn to get to something like this. I mean, it did for me. It's not gonna happen overnight unless you're just born with it. Like, it's not Maybelline, it's just you're born with it. And for some people that's possible, but what you need to always keep in mind when it comes to doing makeup is that it really does come down to patience, your passion in it, and practice. You know, this is something that I've been doing for, goodness, since I was like 13 years old and first started wearing makeup. I've fed on tons of beauty videos and tutorials, and I've studied so much, but it still has taken me a lot of years to kind of perfect my techniques, my styles, what I like, what I prefer, and what works for somebody doesn't work for everybody. And I think one of the most important things to remember when you're watching videos like this is that what I do isn't necessarily going to be 100% what fits your brows or whatever we're focusing on. I think the important thing is to remember is to watch this, kind of get the general concept down, and then adjust to what you need. So if you have thicker eyebrows, clearly you wouldn't need as much product. If you have really, really thin eyebrows, something like those stencils might be totally banging for you. It really depends on you and what works for you. So keep that in mind when you watch these videos, and never hold yourself to the standard of somebody else. You are you. What you need is what you need. What works for you is what works for you. Don't get frustrated. Don't give up. You can do it. It's just gonna take lots of practice and time. So get your products, experiment with different things, get in front of your mirror, and start beating that face. Before you know it, you'll be beating it like a pro. I don't know what that means, honestly. But I am Emily Doll. This is a Noble Beauty video. This is how to beat your brows for beginners, I guess. I hope that it taught you guys some things. So remember that I love your beautiful faces, and thanks for spending time with me. So I'll see you next time. Bye. I hope you guys enjoyed this beauty tutorial, and I hope that it helps you in your own beauty journey, in your growth and understanding of beating your face. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment below if you have any questions, or if you have any tips and tricks you can share with the viewers. And if you have any questions, you can always email me at my fan mail below. Make sure you remember to subscribe and turn on that notification bell so you do not miss the next episode, which we will be handling foundation basics. Yes, so all the different foundations, whether it be sheer, luminous, matte, what are good application tips, what things you should be using to put the makeup on your face, not spatulas, unless you like spatulas. I'm not here to judge, I'm here to share. So I hope to see you next time. Bye. We got a little before, we got a little after, a little before, a little after. That's pretty, that's a difference. Yeah, I mean, stop judging me, cat. Not all of us just look ferocious when we wake up.